everyone, and welcome to our second workshop for today. We are super excited that you're joining us here on this March 2nd, 2021. Wow, that's so crazy. The year is going by. We're already on our third month this year. And man, I couldn't have imagined, but we're really excited for you joining us here today. We're going to be talking today about how to establish a relationship with your local bank. What are the different accounts that perhaps your local bank may offer and how to take advantage of those as a business owner. So a very, very important topic. My name is Dorima Hamilton, and I'm the Executive Director of Ideal CDC, and I just want to welcome everybody here. Also, on behalf of Reverend Carlos Rincon with the SBD BA, we want to welcome all those that are joining us from our faith community, our small business community that are here with us today. Before we get started, just want to go over a few housekeeping rules with everybody watching. If you can please share this workshop, that'll help us not only get the word out, but it'll help make sure that our community, especially our small business community, has the proper, accurate information to help them with their business accounts, to help them with their lending and any other questions that they have. I know things right now are a little bit crazy, and as things start opening up, it's very important that you have the correct information as you navigate through the various different opportunities out there. And so we're really excited today that our friends over from HSBC are joining us once again. I know you guys really enjoyed the last time we had them back last year at the beginning of this closure, and we had them over the summer but also over the fall to talk about different topics. And so we're really excited that they're here with us again today to bring this very important topic. So once again, let us know if you have any questions, and we'll be answering those questions at the end of the workshop, and we may take a pause throughout the workshop to answer some of those questions. But with that, I would like to introduce our speakers for today that are going to be bringing this topic. John from the HSBC Bank is going to be bringing the topic, and Ade will be speaking at the end to answer some of the questions that you guys may have on the subject matter. So John, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you so much, Dory. Appreciate the introduction. And hello everyone. Quick introduction, a little bit about me. I've been in the banking industry for 13 years now, since 2008. I've been with HSBC for 2 years. I'm a retail business banking manager. So what I do is I help people streamline their businesses, excuse me, and I help them from anything with credit cards, deposit accounts, CDs, loans, credit cards, all the way up to the PPP loan that you've seen recently, that the government has provided for small business owners. I've worked at 3 different banks. I've done pretty much every position at the bank. If you walk into the bank, I've probably done every position that you see in there. I've been a teller, personal banker, premier banking. I also did business banking for a while, and then I also managed 4 branches in my career. And then I went back to business banking at HSBC, and I'm super excited to be back doing this, as it is definitely my passion. Before we get started, I always like to start it off with a little story. So a little differently, because I'm not doing it in person. Obviously, I'm doing it through Zoom. But this will be the icebreaker for us. A businessman walked into a New York City bank and asked for the loan officer. He said he was going to Europe on a business trip for 2 weeks and needed to borrow $5,000. The loan officer said to the bank, the loan officer said the bank would need some security for such a loan. The businessman then handed over his keys to a Rolls Royce that was parked on the street in front of the bank. Everything checked out, and the loan officer accepted the car as collateral for the loan. An employee then drove the Rolls Royce into the bank's underground garage and parked it there. 2 weeks later, the businessman returned, repaid the $5,000 and the interest, which came up to $15.41. The loan officer said, "We do appreciate your business, and this transaction has worked out very nicely, but we were a little puzzled. While you were away, we checked and found out that you are a multimillionaire. What puzzles us is why you would bother to borrow $5,000. The businessman then replied, "Where else in New York City can you park my car for 2 weeks for 15 bucks? So a little icebreaker there. The moral of the story is that the gentleman went in, he knew exactly what he wanted from the bank, and we'll cover that a little bit later in the presentation. But to get started, we'll go ahead and look at our LOEs, learning objectives. And in this workshop, we'll focus on identifying common small business banking needs, selecting the products or services that work best for you, and learning how to use them effectively. Let's review our goals for this workshop. So we'll identify common financial products and services used by small businesses. Consider the important factors when choosing a financial institution. That's very important. And then explore the value of building a relationship with a financial institution. So we will explore your business banking needs through the post your business needs activity. So typically when I'm in person, we do a little activity where we have post-it notes, and I have everyone write down, why do businesses need banking services? So if you'd like, if you have a pen and paper, go ahead and you can do that on your own. And while you do that, think of why do businesses need banking services? I'm so sorry, I think that just went back. My apologies. There you go. So come up as many answers. I'm so sorry, guys. So come up with as many answers to the question as you can. Write each answer down on a sticky note if you have one, or just keep it on top of your mind. And then post each note on the wall, which we can't do today. So we'll go ahead and I'll give that about 30 seconds. And then we'll go through some of the common answers. So as you're writing this down, some of the common responses that we usually typically get is checking accounts. You need the bank for checking accounts, saving accounts, making deposits, going in and making cash deposits along with check deposits, cashing checks, saving money, making investments, and also getting loans. So those are some of the popular ones that we typically get when we do this activity. As we go through this workshop, keep your unique business needs in mind. So the ones that you wrote down, keep that in your mind as we go through this presentation. They can help you evaluate gaps in your current needs and locate services that might benefit you. Businesses have evolving banking needs at every stage of development. and financial institutions have many services and support to offer new, growing, and mature businesses. Let's explore some small business banking services in greater detail. Knowing your needs and priorities can help you evaluate a financial institution, determine its products and services to meet your needs. So what are your business's unique needs? Does the financial institution have a good track record, or if any, provide services to small businesses? So with this, you want to choose a bank that has a record of helping small businesses. They likely have products tailored to your business stage. Ask other business owners for their experiences with their banks. How important are non-financial considerations to me? Services like prompt customer support, parking facilities, other relationship management tools can make banking more efficient. Are there any fees that I can incur while doing business with the bank? Before you settle on a financial institution, learn about its free structures and the fine print on its product that on the products that they offer. Does the bank have the FDIC or NCUA insure the financial institution? Consider these factors and seek out the opinion of other business owners to find out about their experiences with financial institutions. So like I said prior, I've worked at 3 different banks, and every bank has their niche. You definitely want to reach out to others that maybe are in your industry, because every bank specializes in different types of businesses. So it's not a one size fit all. So on this next slide, we're going to cover the common types of accounts that the banks offer. So the first type is a small business checking account. The second type is a commercial checking account. Sorry, guys, I'm getting messages here. Third one is savings accounts, money market accounts, certificate of deposits, and payroll accounts. So with this, we're going to go through and kind of describe what each account represents. So with the small business checking account, some financial institutions may have special products or accounts specifically for small business owners. Some may offer low interest rates, low transaction fees, and low minimum balance requirements. The commercial checking account may require larger minimum balance requirements. They tend to be a good fit if you have large transaction amounts. Fees are typically based on an analysis schedule and the number of amount of transactions within a given period. The savings account may restrict number of withdrawals per month. Fees, services, and products vary between banks, so be sure that you ask your bank representative for those facts. And they usually pay interest on your funds as well. Money market accounts allows you for check writing features with some restrictions. They tend to require higher balances and tend to pay a higher rate of interest. The certificate deposit sorry guys. The certificate deposit is an investment tool that allows you to set aside fixed amount of money for a fixed amount of time, and it may range from weeks to years. A CD earns a higher interest rate as long as you don't withdraw it. If you withdraw it before its term matures, you may pay a penalty fee. You may be able to add money to the CD at no cost, but be sure to check with your financial institution to see if that money addition changes the terms. So that's a lot to kind of swallow and a lot to kind of understand is when it comes to different checking accounts and savings accounts and the CDs. So what I'll do right now is we can open it up for questions as it pertains to accounts, if we would like to do that.
Hi, John. Thank you so
Hi.
much. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm sorry.
Awesome. Yeah, we had a question come in on the different types of accounts.
Sure.
So a business owner, this is going to be their first account open. Do they need to have any sort of history as far as like they've been open for a year or a month, or does it matter when the business account is opened?
So that's a great area. So it doesn't matter when you open the account, but for the bank, they do need business documentation.
Okay.
So for California, it's one of the few states that allows you to open an account without business documentation as long as your first and last name is in the business name. So for example, if it's John Smith Car Wash, you wouldn't need a DBA, doing business as fictitious name statement from the county. If you have an LLC or an incorporation, we would need to have the articles of incorporation or operating agreement and be able to see that on the Secretary of State for the individual state that you registered with to be able to open the account.
Okay, cool. And then the last question it pertains to, do you need to have the EIN as well as your social to open the account, or would one or the other work?
If you're a sole proprietor, meaning you're John Smith is doing business as John Smith,
Hmm.
we can use your social security number to open the account.
Okay.
Once you're an LLC or a corporation, we would then need an EIN number from the IRS, but that's very simple. If you go to irs.gov, you can get that EIN number literally in 5 minutes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Those are the only
Mhm.
questions I have as of right now.
Okay, very good. And then kind of go back to the commercial checking account because a lot of people probably have not seen that account. That is typically for larger businesses, and that it comes with a little bit higher fees. And the way that one works is you typically get extra perks such as like free wires, international, domestic. And depending on how many you do per month, they can offset the fees depending on how much cash you go through, you flow through the account. So if you're not flowing a lot of money through the account, I have seen statements where it charges the individual $500. But that commercial accounts again is for the more established business owner and the one that's probably doing at least 5 million or more in revenue. Savings and CDs are actually a great option for business owners, and I know we don't really think of those when it comes to business. And one of the reasons that I always recommend a savings account is to safeguard your account. Because I do see a lot of business owners operate their business account with one checking account, and that could be dangerous when it comes to safeguarding your account. Because if you're writing checks, on the bottom of that check, you'll notice that there's a routing number and account number on the bottom. And we just don't know who is getting a hold of these checks. And they have your information about your account on that particular check. And if you're using your debit card, and we'll get to that later, when you swipe that card, you're giving a merchant your information. And the last thing you want to do is to wait to get your money back from the bank because you had all your money in the bank. So I always recommend having a savings account. One, to either earn some interest on that money, so it's just not sitting there, and two, to safeguard the checking account as well. Payroll accounts is also a great way to kind of segregate your accounts. I always recommend operating account along with the payroll account. If you had to go back and look for someone's payroll check, you don't want to have to scroll, with one account and go through all the different debit purchases that you've done. And it's a lot easier at the end of the year to hand to your accountant, one for your expenses and then one for your payroll for the year. It just simplifies the process a little bit more, and your accountant will probably buy you dinner at the end of the year for doing that for them. So online banking services. So this is actually a pretty exciting one based on the last 5 years that the banks have really invested extra money when it comes to the digital platforms. So one of the ways that you're able to access your account is through online banking. So online banking gives you access via internet. You can keep tabs on your account activity, generate payments, and even deposit physical checks over the internet as well. So next one is mobile banking. So what is mobile banking? Mobile banking is banking that you access via your phone or other mobile devices. Many financial institutions offer applications or apps specifically targeted to small business owners, and they include payments via mobile app, taking and uploading photographs of checks to make mobile deposits, and text messaging with financial institution representatives. So this has really been a game changer in the banking industry, especially for business owners. Number one, the business owner does not want to take the time to go to the bank and deposit one check and wait in line. So mobile banking has really streamlined business banking in general. And again, it's allowed you to deposit checks from your phone to avoid the trip to the bank. It's also allowed you to text message with financial institution representatives, so you don't have to pick up the phone. So it's really helped the business owner, take back their time so they can focus more on their business instead of their banking. And of course, remote banking is also a great one, which will never go away. And that's just financial institutions using the array of remote banking services that allow you to manage your accounts to get help from a bank employee whenever you need them. So all that means is you can call the number on the back of the card, call the number on your statement, and all banks have a remote banking team that can assist you in case your relationship manager isn't there to help you out with any situation you may have. Using debit cards. So using debit cards is usually preference of the business owner. I have some businesses that don't like to use debit cards, and I have those that do. So let's kind of go over the debit cards and look at some pros and cons. So businesses may use debit cards to pay for various expenses. Debit cards are directly linked to your business checking account, and when you use them to make payments or withdraw cash at an ATM, that amount is immediately withdrawn from your account. Debit cards offer some fraud protection, particularly if you report a stolen card before it's used. You may be liable for some or all the stolen money if you wait too long to report the theft to your bank. So every bank has their different policy when it comes to fraud on the debit card, because we all have used the debit card and we all probably have had fraud on our account, unfortunately. So there is pros and cons with using the debit card. So when I say that you could be liable for stolen money if you take too long to report it, there's usually maybe a 60 or 90 day or even a 30-day policy that banks have. So if you have a business debit card and money is taken, I highly recommend that you report that immediately and you don't wait, because once that time frame is gone, there's nothing the bank can do for you, because you have now expired as far as that timeline, and you won't be able to get that money back. So some of the pros with the debit card is that you only spend money that you have. So like I said, when you swipe that card, the money is immediately taken from your deposit account and it's no longer available for you and it's paid for. It gives you access to ATMs. It also protects your card, protects your card and account with a PIN. So if you go to an ATM, for example, obviously you need a PIN, and you have to put the PIN that you would only know, and you can withdraw money with that ATM card. It has lower fees than credit cards, and you avoid interest on payments because the money is automatically taken out. So cons. So it could deplete or jeopardize your account balance. Like I said, I have customers that don't want to even mess with debit cards, so they don't use them because they don't want to have the hassle of having to report fraud if the wrong merchant got a hold of their card number and it's cashed out of their account and they have to wait to get their cash back for when the bank is done with the investigation. Limited fraud protection, especially if money is withdrawn directly from an ATM. So you might ask, well, what's the difference between when I swipe the card and when money's taken out of the ATM? The difference is when money's taken out of an ATM, that means someone has used a PIN that you should only know. So a PIN is considered one of the safest transactions at the bank. So the bank looks at that as maybe some negligence on the part of the customer. So you want to make sure that you keep that to yourself. You don't give that to anybody else. For example, the one I see a lot is the business owner hand the card to an employee, and an employee went on a shopping spree on them at the mall. You definitely never want to do that because you're the only person that should know the ATM PIN. Your financial institution may not have enough ATMs that are convenient to you. So depending on your business, you want to make sure that you pick a bank that has convenient locations for you and you're not going to get charged at the ATM. There may be fees for withdrawing money from ATMs that are not affiliated with financial institutions. So for example, if you bank at ABC Bank, you can go to XYZ Bank. XYZ Bank may charge you $250 to get your money out. Using a credit card allows you to track your small expenses in one place. Other authorized users may require access to PIN to use card, and you do not build credit history with debit cards. And what I'll do right now is I'll open it up for any questions that we have on the debit card portion here.
No, not right now on that specific topic on debit cards.
Very good. So we'll move on to the credit cards. So with credit cards, obviously it's different from a debit card because you're actually building your business credit. So some of the pros with the credit card is that you may add personnel or authorized users to track your expenses. So if I'm a business owner and I have 2 employees, I can actually get a credit card from the bank and actually get 2 specific credit cards for my employees. And if they go get gas, I'll be able to see the expenses that they're using, and I'll be able to see whose card is coming from. You may assign credit limits for authorized users. So if I have a credit line for $1,000, I can give employee A a $100 limit, and I can give employee B a $100 limit as well, and I can give myself an $800 limit if I wanted to. It keeps personal expenses separate from business expenses. This is where I find a lot of business owners when they first get started, they make this mistake is they instead of getting a business credit card, they use everything on the personal credit card. Um, and sometimes that makes it a little bit sticky because they're going to the mall to get personal expenses, using it for personal expenses, and then they use it for business expenses. Whereas if you have one specific business card for your business account, it's just as simple as printing out 12-month statements at the end of the year and handing it over to your CPA and showing them that that's all your expenses for your business. Robust rewards program. So business cards tend to have really good reward programs. Like for example, we have a 1.5% card right now, and if you transfer that reward, that cash back money into our account, we actually give you 2% back. So they tend to be a little bit more lucrative when it comes to rewards program, and you may qualify for higher credit limits than a personal credit card as well. So some of the cons of a personal credit card: authorized users are not responsible for paying the bill. So I've seen this, and I've seen a pretty interesting example of this where gentleman was head of the church board, and when they got the credit card, because he was head of the church board, they actually ran his credit to get the credit card for the church. Someone from the board was running up a bill on the card. Individual left the church, and the head of the board ended up getting a bill, I think, a month or two later, and they basically said, "You owe us this amount of money." He said, "Well, I'm not the one that ran this bill up." They said, "Well, unfortunately, we're sorry to hear that, but you are responsible and you did a personal guarantee on the credit card. So therefore you owe us the amount that they ran the bill up for." So that is a downfall to having authorized signers. You have to make sure that you give it to someone you trust, and they're not going to leave you hanging with a bill that you did not run up and that was not authorized for the business. Mishandling a business credit card account may negatively affect your business and your personal credit. So you may ask, how does this affect my personal credit when it's for business? This is how. I think it was back in 2008. All banks started to require all business owners to what we call personally guarantee every loan. So every credit card, every line of credit, every loan, the business owner had to personally guarantee. So what that means is something happens, the bank can go after their personal credit and go after the personal assets as well. And it wasn't just the business anymore. You couldn't just walk away from the business and wash your hands clean and know that your personal credit wasn't going to be affected. So they came up with personal guaranteeing every loan when it comes to a business account. And then also fees and interest rates maybe a little bit higher on business credit cards as well. And then I'll open it up for any questions you may have with the business credit cards.
Yes, have a question regarding
Sure.
that. So I had someone ask, I don't have any credit established just yet. I've never taken out a credit card on my own or any sort of loan. Is it going to be hard for me to be able to apply for a credit card for my business if I don't have any credit?
Yes. It'll probably be a little bit higher or a little bit harder because you don't
Okay.
have any personal credit, because especially when you first get started, your personal credit is is highly what's the word I'm looking for? Put into consideration
Mm-hmm.
when you apply for a credit card. So my recommendation to that individual is start off with a secured card, maybe on the personal side. Um, I'll tell you my story. I started off at Capital One. Back then, you sent them a cashier's check for like $300. You secure that card with the $300 in a savings account, and every month that you pay it, they report to all three credit bureaus. If you want, you can go to another bank, get a second secured card. Now you have two credit lines.
Mm,
Eventually, you want to get three, and the reason I say three is because when you eventually you're going to want to buy a home, hopefully, and when you buy a
yeah.
home, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's still three credit lines that the bank requires for you to have in order to be pre-approved for a home mortgage.
Mm,
So either way, I would get started on that ASAP.
yeah.
Those are just a couple ways that I've seen, and actually how I started my credit. And I actually had a business credit card because I was a real estate agent prior.
Mm.
So I kind of know, how that feels.
Yeah, no, definitely. I can definitely relate to that, especially myself too. When I had to open a card, it was so hard, right? To get. But then luckily, my mother actually, and this kind of brings me to the second question, is she added me as an authorized user. Is that something that you can also do if you're trying to build credit? And does that help you as being an authorized user?
I believe so. From my experience, it will show as a credit line. So I
Yeah.
have seen like couples add the other person to to the credit card to add as a credit line. As far as helping the credit, a day you maybe you
Yes,
can jump in here.
sure.
I when I was a manager and I had like, for example, the parents would put the kids that were just turned 18 on the
Yeah.
credit card to help them build their credit. I don't know
Yeah.
how much it built their credit, to be honest with you, because
I'll answer that,
yeah.
John. Actually, I am a true example of my daughter is 13 years old, and I have
Mm.
made her as an additional user on my card, and it's actually showing on her credit, and it's affecting her
Oh.
Okay.
credit. So it depends. Credit card, one credit card versus another credit card, one financial institution versus another one. For example, American Express do report, the additional users. So it's always good to ask when you be added as an additional user, does the bank actually report credit on the additional user, especially if they collect your social security
Yeah.
number, they should be reporting it. That's one. One thing I want to also add about the secure credit card, John mentioned about having a secure credit card on your personal side, but HSBC, I'm not, we have a program and other banks might have it. We have a secured credit card program for small business owners, whereby if you really complete, the credit usage, and if you really do some kind of training lessons like what Dorima is doing, and we're going to do it with Dorima as well, that the bank will honor that class as you being qualified for that program, and we can open $1,000 secure credit card for you at the bank, and then that money is put in the savings account. And we can talk more about that program in the future, but feel free to reach out to Dorima about that program, and we'll be doing that, and John will be handling your account if somebody's interested in establishing credit that way as well. So
Oh, awesome. Thank you both so much for sharing that, because that was definitely something that came up a lot, especially talking to a lot of business owners. Well, how do I get started establishing that credit, especially for my business? I know sometimes it could be a little challenging, like you need credit to start credit. And so having like a program that can help you start establishing in a way that's safe,
yeah,
is very, very important to help you start establishing those habits so that you are successful long term. So, um,
yeah,
like I
yeah,
mentioned, if you guys are interested, reach out to me and we'll be sure to connect you and make sure to help you through that process.
right.
As far as questions, those are the only ones that I have right now in regards to credit cards. So that is all from my end right now.
Very good. Thank you.
Hmm.
Adesh, do we want to go through the scenarios since we can't? No. Okay. Okay. So building a good relationship with the bank. Um, this is very important, and I think more so since last year than years prior. I mean, banks always said that relationship banking is the main thing, but I think last year in the 13 years that I've been doing this, I really truly saw this kind of roll out in person. The reason I say that is because, for example, the PPP loan. I talked to probably more non-customers last year when the PPP loan rolled out than actually customers at HSBC, because there's about a handful of banks that decided to participate in the PPP loan last year. But this was the catch, is that there were certain criteria you had to meet for your bank to be able to help you with this PPP loan. And last year it was so crucial for these individual business owners to have access to this money to help them stay afloat pending what was going on. And I was getting phone calls from business owners that had banked with their bank for 20 plus years, had a checking account, had a savings account, had investments with them, had premier relationship with them on the consumer side, but the bank was not participating in PPP. So they were coming to me. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't help them because with us here at HSBC, we required you to have a bank account for at least 6 months, have your operating account with us, along with your payroll running through your operating account. So it was a really true relationship with the bank that we were helping with the PPP, and all the other banks were doing that as well. So a lot of small business owners really saw what their banks were willing and not willing to do for them during the pandemic. And I was able to actually get some business from that. And I'm not happy about that because I rather have them have been helped from the other banks. But building a good relationship with your bank is really important because they really do look at everything that you have with them and what type of customer you are, with them. So the first thing is, definitely educate yourself uh, and learn the basic services that banks offer. Checking account, savings account, CDs. They can help with credit cards, like Ade said, a secured credit card. I mean, a secured credit card in business, it's I've heard of it, but very rarely do you see the approval rates really high. And I'm super excited that Ade has really spearheaded this program in these grants for small business owners, especially in the SoCal area, where you're able to have the opportunity to get a secured card, build a relationship with the bank, a huge bank at that, and really establish yourself with that bank. So as your business grows, we grow with you. So as the product grows, you get to take advantage of those products as well because of growing with us, and you build a good relationship with the bank. Be prepared to answer questions about your business and its ongoing financial needs. One of the presentations I did last year before the pandemic, it was one of the owners of the nonprofits, and he said it best. He said, a lot of you are going to Chick-fil-A and ordering a burger, right? Like, we laugh at that. Like, what are you talking about ordering a burger? They don't have burgers. What are you talking about? It's the same thing when you go to the bank. You need to know, what you need for your business. You need to know, what your business needs, what's the ongoing financial needs of them. So when the relationship manager like myself has that conversation with you, we can better assist you to make sure that we put you in the right package to make sure that you have all the tools needed on the banking front, so you don't have to worry about that and you can focus more on your business. So be prepared to answer questions about your business. And the more you tell us, the better we can help you. And the second thing is network. Like nonprofits like this, networking with banks, networking just in general, there's a lot of value there. Speak to a bank representative. Even if you're not planning to open an account, go set an appointment. Have a Zoom call. Ask the questions you may have. The only dumb questions is the questions you don't ask. And there's a lot that we've gone through today. And honestly, this could be like a 2-3 hour presentation because there's so much that you can kind of branch off of each topic that we've covered. Network at events where financial institutions representatives will likely be present. And ask those questions that you have, so you're better prepared. So when you go into the bank, you set yourself up for success to know what you're looking for. I will open it up for questions with that as well before we end.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah. I have a question here, and it says, what would you say are 3 questions that business owners should ask every bank before finding or knowing which bank is right for them?
Number one, I'd ask, who can I call by name when I have an emergency with my account?
Yeah.
Who do I call by name? I think that's number one. Number two, does the bank fit what your business does? If you're a restaurant and you need to get change every day and you're sending a runner, you want to make sure that that branch that you're going to bank at can accommodate your runner going there. You're not going to be waiting 2 hours for your runner to come back. And I'd say number 3 is reputation, right? I think reputation is everything. Do your research on the bank, right? Because to me, reputation is everything. And make sure they are who you'd want to be associated with.
I'm going to add to that, Dorima.
Yes.
If you don't mind me adding.
Please don't.
When I open my account and when I go to a bank, do they make me feel like I am the most important client when I walk to that branch, right? So
Yeah.
unless they value me, then that place is not for me. So when you walk to that branch, do you really feel valued? Right. So once you feel that, and the relationship manager is paying attention, is being attentive to your need, I think that's the right bank for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think those are very good suggestions and things to keep in mind for sure. John, in regards to the ratings, I guess you would say, is that something that you look on Yelp, or is there a specific site, or what would you say is the best way to find some of that information?
I always say that you go online to look at why you're not going to do something.
Yeah.
I think a day said it best. Go in
Yes.
person, you know.
Yeah.
And I had a customer tell me a story, and it hit home. It really did. I've been doing this 13 years.
Yeah.
And she said, "Have you ever seen the movie Pretty Woman?" I said,
Mm.
"Absolutely." I said, "Everyone see Pretty Woman? You
Yeah.
kidding me?" And she said, I said, "I just want to feel like Pretty Woman." I said,
Mm.
that hit home. I said, "You know
Yeah.
what? That's so true. You know, you go in and how they treat you after they open the account says a lot as well.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because it's very easy to be roll out the red carpet when you're getting the new business, right? But it's how they treat you after the transaction is the most
Mm-hmm.
important. Are they following up to make sure you got your debit card? Are they following up to make sure you got your checks? Are they following up to make sure that your online banking is working correctly? Are they returning your emails when you have a question that may take a little bit longer to answer? You know, before I got on the phone today, I think all day I've been following up with all my customers, and I built such a great relationship with them, and it brings me joy to know that they're happy, to know that they have me
Yeah.
to help them with their business banking. Sometimes it's a little bit of a headache for me, but that's okay. That's what I do, and that's what I enjoy. So it's really going in. I don't think there's like a specific site, if you will.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go ahead and look at Yelp, but again, I think people there's a lot of bloggers out there,
Yeah.
and they're looking more for the bad than the good. And,
Right.
and I think the news is a perfect example of that, right?
Yeah.
You see like the good news, feel good story, like the last 60 seconds
Mm-hmm.
before they come off air. So I would definitely just walk in and
Yeah.
talk to the manager, talk to the relationship manager, talk to the bankers. And when you walk into a branch, you can feel like that energy. We're all a ball of energy. You can feel
Yeah.
when you walk in if that's the right place for you, if it's not.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thank you so much for sharing. I think that's very, very important to go in and experience that for yourself and based on that, make the decision to move forward or not. As far as questions, those are the only ones that I have as of now. But thank you so much for answering that, Ade and John.
Yeah, I think that's the end of the presentation, right, John?
Yes, yes, it
Yeah.
Okay.
is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
One thing, Dorima, I want to
Yeah.
add is also fee is very important. So if,
Yes.
a bank is going to charge you a fee, is that acceptable for the service they're providing you? Sometimes
Mm,
just having that minimum balance and whether, so you might not be ready for example, 10,000 being a minimum balance requirement to waive the monthly fees. So make sure you ask about all the fees, how many checks you can write per month.
yeah.
Those are the type of question you need to ask because before you know it, things are going to start adding up if there are a lot of fees on your account. So, make sure that the bank that you're choosing is the right fit for you when it comes to fees as well.
And I'll piggyback off of that because I think that's and that's a great point today because a lot of new business owners,
Mm-hmm.
they think that it's like a regular consumer checking account because all of
Yeah.
us has pretty much experienced the consumer side of banking. On the consumer side, I'm not limited to how many transactions I can do. On the
Mm,
consumer side, I'm not limited to how much cash I can put into the account. I'm not limited to how many checks I can deposit in the account. So to give you an example, a typical business checking account, this is every bank you go to, will
Mhm.
typically give you anywhere from 200 transactions to 400 transactions, maybe 500 transactions per month, meaning debit card swipes, writing
mm,
checks, depositing items at the bank. Those all count towards transactions. So if you're a huge business, you can very easily go over 500 transactions in a month. And
yeah.
then after 500, the bank will charge you, let's say, 20 cents or 25 cents per like 100 that you go over, something like that.
Mm.
Another thing you have to look out for as well is the amount of cash you can put into a business account.
Oh,
And
yeah.
this is everywhere. It's typically 5,000. So on your consumer account, you can put in 6, 7,000. We're not going to ask you any questions. On a business account, at any bank you go to, there's a limit to how much cash you can deposit. So if you're in a cash heavy business,
Mm-hmm.
make sure you ask that question because I'll give you an example. I had a Play It Again sports owner. He owned 3 of them, I believe it was.
Okay.
We had to open like 5 accounts for him because he was depositing a lot of items because they write a lot of checks to people who are selling their sports equipment to him.
Mm.
So what he would do is he'd go to the teller and he'd say, "Hey, where am I at?" Because the teller line would be able to track the transactions per account that he was using. And if he was getting close to that one, then he'd start depositing to the other account or writing checks off the other account.
Yeah.
So it's little things like that that you don't think about
Mm-hmm.
when you're opening a business checking account, and you don't want to be caught off guard with those fees as well.
Yeah, I know that's very true, and I'm glad you both mentioned that there's a lot of people that just assume that it's the same as your personal banking account, and it's very very different from that. I did have two questions that I wanted to ask. The first one it comes to it relates to transactions. What do I do if I have been mixing personal and business transactions? What would you suggest this business owner do they go back and try to fix that, or is there a way to fix that, or just start doing everything separate going forward?
You want the banking regulation answer? You're not so you any bank that finds out that you're running a business account or business transactions through a personal account will shut you down.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So number one, you're not supposed to do that.
Right.
Number two, I would definitely figure out, how do you want to incorporate your business? Do you want to stay as a sole prop, John Smith doing business John Smith, or Mary Smith doing business as Mary Smith? Do you want to get a DBA from the county? Do you want to get an LLC or an incorporation? That's the first thing I'd figure out. And then number two, I definitely go and open a business account uh, and do your research from there. Anything you want to add on that, Ade?
Yeah, it's so easy, right? When you have a debit card from your business account and to mix the two of them, then you can go and you're grabbing lunch, for example, and you just use your business card to swipe at McDonald's or Burger King or what have you. So it's so easy to really mix it. So I think, as John mentioned, it's very, very important, not only for yourself, but at the end of the year when you do your accounting,
Yeah.
for either the accountant who's helping you or yourself, it makes it so easy to separate the two. So if you've been doing it thus far, it's okay, no harm, no foul. But going forward, I think, definitely I will advise everyone to have two separate accounts, one for personal and one for business account.
Yeah, I think that's best. And I think, like, if you have any questions, at least for me personally, when I have a question on anything having to do with transactions, I always contact my CPA to ask her, like, hey, what do you suggest for this transaction? Just so I can get a different opinion from someone else who already knows my account and knows my transactions, to let me know what that falls under. So
Exactly.
better to ask questions, I would say. And that's why it's good to
I
have
know.
a relationship with your local bank, because, you can provide that guidance as well, whether it's like pointing them to the proper person to contact, or you yourself can help them navigate through some of that uncertainty.
Exactly.
Yeah. Another question, and this is kind of more general, but they're asking kind of for advice. So it says, based on your experience, what is something that has really hurt business owners when it comes to banking services for their business owners? Like, what are some things that people are missing out on as far as opportunities that business owners are not taking advantage of?
As far as like products or just,
Yeah, I would say products, and perhaps, like, I know you mentioned something on your slide about networking. Like, I think I didn't even know that, like, I'm sure there's networking events, that people can invite you to. And so that's probably an missed opportunity for business owners, that they don't know that there's networking
yeah.
opportunities available for them.
Mhm. I would say talking to your relationship manager or talking
Yeah.
to someone at the bank, it can be very valuable to you, because a lot of times when I get, especially new customers,
Mm-hmm.
they just want to open the account and be on their way.
Yeah.
For my position, I for me, the conversation's at least an hour, hour and a half. I would say, you know, know your numbers, know your operations, know what you need, and then also be willing to have that conversation with someone like myself, a relationship manager, because the more I know, the more I can help you.
Mm.
I don't know unless you tell me. I can ask the questions, but unless you give me the time, I won't know. It's like going to a doctor. You can't really tell me what's wrong with me until we go through some tests and you ask me some questions. It's not one size
Right.
fits all, right? So I have clients that I wish I had more time with, because they're the same ones that call me with issues when we could have just had this conversation for about an hour, and I probably would have been able to solve them for them. And then,
Mm.
like you said, networking. I know
Yeah.
a day, she's amazing at getting us out there in the community.
Yeah.
We before the pandemic, we were out there constantly,
Yeah.
and we'd have a table, and we were out there to answer questions. We're out there to give recommendations. We're out there to just hear them out, and just have that conversation. And it's just being resourceful.
Mm-hmm.
Once you start looking, trust me, you'll find them.
Yeah.
And the one thing I would add, Dorima, another missed opportunity is about this taboo of saying financial institutions are not able to help me. I think that's a very
Yeah.
wrong assumption. How do you know, unless you discuss, as John said, how do you know what we have and what we don't have? How do you know the other bank next door from us what they have and they don't have unless you really ask the question. The
Mm-hmm.
worst thing it can come is, no, we cannot do it, but here is another solution for you. So I don't think
Yeah.
we can always say, no, we can't do it without offering another option. For example, if somebody who are not aware of CDFIs, right, Community
Yeah.
Development Financial Institutions, or CDCs like yourself, Dorima, if they're not aware of it, that they come to us, and I'm not able maybe to provide them some type of credit in the beginning, but I'll say, but guess what? I do know another, government nonprofit agency who will be able to help you with this till you become bankable or till we can refinance your loan with us, and I can offer that solution. So there are different things, but do not be shy from asking any questions. The worst is no, but it always comes with a solution.
That's great. No, and I think that's very key. Is just it doesn't hurt to ask when it comes to anything like, and that's one thing that I've learned during these last few years is just always ask. It doesn't hurt. You never know if they themselves can help you. They'll guide you to the proper resource, the proper connection,
Yes.
and who can help you navigate through some of those uncertainties, certain questions, or problems that you're facing to help you find a better solution. And so I appreciate that. But those are the only questions that I have coming in. Is there anything else that perhaps you, John, or Ade, you'll like to mention in regards to this topic, or perhaps other tips that you can give our business owners watching?
Yeah, one thing I want to say is, if anybody has a current business account with any institution, when is the last time your relationship manager has called you? Has it been
Yeah.
over 6, 7, 8 months? Then that's not the right bank for you. So go find another bank who is really looking at calling you. So that's the type of relationship you want to have. Some of the larger banks, understandably, they have a lot of clients,
Mm-hmm.
but businesses, you want to grow with the bank together.
Yeah.
So I would highly suggest or recommend that, just even if they don't reach out and see what the response time is. They might be busy, but reach out to your relationship manager. Do you even know you have a relationship manager? Do you know the
Mm,
branch manager's name when you walk in? If the
yeah.
branch man, you don't know the branch manager's name, that's a problem.
Right.
You grow with the bank. So I highly encourage anybody who's listening today to really reach out to your relationship manager wherever you're banking. See if you get a response, see what type of response you get, and just talk to them and see what type of need you have. If you don't have a banking account, find out which one is the right one for you. Right. So by really asking the questions, the fees that
Yeah.
we talked and John explained. So just do a little bit of investigation. Not every bank is made the same, right? Even
Right.
though we all are there. So just make sure, choose the right bank that benefits you.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
want to plug in the credit class that is coming on Friday. I don't know, Dorima, you're gonna mention that, but I think
Yes.
if you want to talk more about credit, then we have a credit class that's coming up on Friday, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
yes, yes. So if you guys are watching, you want to learn more about credit, this Friday at 3 p.m., we'll be addressing some of those questions, concerns that you have around that topic. So if you have any questions, write them down so you don't forget. So on that day, we can help navigate through some of that and help you answer those questions that you have. But yeah. John, is there anything else you would like to mention?
No, I mean, not really. I mean,
Yeah,
it's been great. I would
yeah,
just recommend that everyone just really do your due diligence when it comes to the basics of banking. With your checking account. Looking into the secured credit card, like Ade was
yeah.
saying. Um, Making sure that you have an actual business account, separate the personal from the business, and it makes a huge difference as your business grows. They always say you nickel and dime your business, it's going to nickel and dime you back, right? You,
Mm,
you want to treat it like $1 million business because it
yeah.
is. And as I be- as I've worked with bigger business owners,
Mm-hmm.
I see it play out.
Yeah,
Because for example, when you do a business loan, guess what? I'm going to ask you for 3 years tax returns,
yeah.
and if you haven't done your taxes yet, I'm going to ask you for a profit and loss statement for the year, along with a balance sheet, not only
Mm,
for last year, but from January to February. And if you're the type of person that doesn't have these things in order, it's going to be a lot harder for you or for your accountant to get these paperwork to us so we can get your loan approved, you know? So I would just recommend, if you have any questions, reach out to any of us or to your bank, and we'd be more than willing to help you out. Definitely.
Thank you. Thank you so much for mentioning that, John. I appreciate you both so much for joining us here today to provide this topic. We're really grateful for you guys and everybody at HSBC that is always so kind and generous to join us and provide this information that's very important and valuable for our small business community. With that, I just want to remind everybody that this Friday we do have a workshop, like Ade mentioned, covering on how to obtain small business lending, but specifically credit, and how important that plays, what important factor that plays into you being approved for that loan. And so if you have any questions, if you have any business owners that perhaps perhaps some of your friends or peers that are also business owners, tag them on the event, tag them on the event, on this video, so that they can get this information and join us this Friday at 3 p.m. here on Facebook and on our various pages and groups. So join us here. We're excited. We're happy to serve you guys. And then last thing, just want to mention is that as of 2 weeks ago, we've been approved to be an on-site COVID testing center. So if you're a business that's getting back and opening your doors or gearing up to do so, and you would like to test your team members or your peers, feel free to stop by at our location at 715 Brady in Los Angeles for a free COVID test. We're open Tuesday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Drive up and walk up appointments. All you need is a phone number or an email to get you the results. But it's very, very important that in order to open safely, we know that we're healthy and your employees are healthy, so that way we can remain open and continue to provide our services and products to our community. But with that, thank you, John. Thank you, Ade, for joining us. I hope everybody has a wonderful day, and we'll see you Friday at 3 p.m.
Bye.
Bye.